They were the picture of happiness, a young couple preparing to welcome their first child. A quiet suburban life, shared smiles, and dreams of the future. But beneath the surface of their perfect facade lay secrets that no one could have imagined. One fateful night, the silence of their home was shattered. A desperate call to a friend went unanswered. Hours passed, and the world began to notice the absence of a vibrant woman. Her car, abandoned by the side of a lonely road. Her belongings, left behind without a trace of explanation. Whispers spread through the community. Friends and family grew restless, haunted by the gnawing fear that something terrible had happened. Where was she? And why had she vanished on the cusp of motherhood? As investigators peeled back the layers of her life, what they uncovered was chilling, a story of trust turned to treachery, love poisoned by lies, and a life stolen in its most vulnerable moment. This is not just a tale of loss. It's one of unspeakable betrayal, the darkest corners of human intent, and the ultimate price of misplaced trust. Nestled in the heart of a quiet town, the kind of place where front lawns are neatly trimmed and neighbors wave warmly as they pass, Emily and Mark were a vision of what many aspired to be. They lived in a cozy, tree-lined neighborhood, a place that felt safe, familiar, and untouched by the horrors of the outside world. Emily was vibrant, with a contagious smile that lit up every room she entered. She was the type of friend who never missed a call, the type of wife who planned every detail of their shared future. Mark, her husband, was reserved but doting, often seen holding her hand as they walked through the park or laughing softly during their weekend coffee dates. They were expecting their first child, a baby they had eagerly planned for. Their future seemed written in bright, hopeful colors. But behind the polished windows of their modest home, cracks had started to form. Small, almost imperceptible signs of strain, the kinds of things only the closest of friends might notice. Emily's once glowing demeanor seemed dimmed in recent weeks, her laughter a little more forced. She canceled plans with friends more often, claiming exhaustion from her pregnancy. No one thought much of it at the time. After all, who could suspect that something so sinister was brewing? It was April 14th, an ordinary Thursday evening. Emily had promised to meet her closest friends for dinner, a tradition they had kept for years. But as the hours ticked by, her chair at the restaurant remained empty. At first, they assumed she had lost track of time. When calls and texts went unanswered, concern began to settle in like a heavy fog. By midnight, worry had turned into panic. The next morning, Emily's car was discovered. It was parked haphazardly on the shoulder of a quiet road just outside town. The doors were locked, but inside the vehicle, her purse sat untouched, her phone switched off. There were no signs of a struggle, no shattered glass, no blood, but the absence of any clues was almost more unnerving. It was as though she had vanished into thin air, leaving behind nothing but questions and growing dread. Emily's sudden disappearance sent shockwaves through her close-knit community. This was a woman who meticulously planned her days, never missed an appointment, and was filled with excitement for her baby's arrival. Her friends immediately raised the alarm, convinced that something was horribly wrong. When the police joined the search, their initial findings only deepened the mystery. The discovery of Emily's car, abandoned on a desolate road, provided more questions than answers. The purse left neatly inside, untouched, suggested she hadn't intended to leave for long. But her phone, powered off, hinted at something darker. There were no signs of a struggle. It was as if Emily had vanished without a trace, leaving behind a community gripped by fear. As hours turned into days, the police began piecing together Emily's last known movements. The more they dug, the clearer it became that Emily's disappearance wasn't random. Suspicion started to fall on Mark. Mark initially portrayed himself as a devastated husband, making public pleas for Emily's safe return. At first, his performance seemed convincing. He appeared on local news channels, his voice trembling as he begged for any information that could bring Emily home. But cracks in his facade began to show. Friends described him as unusually calm behind the scenes, his emotions seeming staged rather than sincere. The police uncovered a series of inconsistencies in Mark's account. He claimed to have spent the entire night at home, worried sick about Emily. Yet, CCTV footage from a gas station a few miles from their house showed Mark purchasing supplies in the middle of the night. When confronted with this evidence, Mark fumbled for explanations, his story shifting with each retelling. With mounting suspicion, detectives brought Mark in for questioning. What they discovered during these interrogations painted a chilling portrait of the man behind Emily's disappearance. The investigation took a dramatic turn when a neighbor approached the police with critical information. They reported hearing muffled voices raised in an argument on the night Emily disappeared. The sounds had come from Emily and Mark's home. The neighbor hesitated to intervene, assuming it was a private matter, but now their account painted a new and disturbing picture. As police re-examined the couple's home, they made a chilling discovery: traces of blood in the bedroom. It wasn't immediately obvious, Mark had gone to great lengths to clean. But forensic testing revealed undeniable evidence: the blood belonged to Emily and her unborn child. Investigators also uncovered disturbing digital evidence. Mark's internet history revealed searches about how to stage a disappearance, dispose of evidence, and erase digital footprints. Together with witness testimonies, this damning evidence began to unravel Mark's carefully constructed lies, exposing him as the prime suspect in a heinous crime. As the investigation unraveled, detectives began piecing together the motives behind Mark's chilling actions. At first glance, he seemed like the devoted husband, but a closer look into his life painted a different story, one of deception, greed, and betrayal. Mark had been hiding mounting financial troubles from Emily for months. Credit card bills piled up, mortgage payments missed. He had secretly drained their savings account in a series of risky investments that left them on the brink of bankruptcy. On top of that, investigators uncovered evidence of Mark's infidelity. Text messages and photos from his phone revealed an ongoing affair with a colleague, a relationship he had meticulously kept hidden. Then came the discovery that solidified the theory of premeditation: a life insurance policy taken out on Emily just 3 months prior to her disappearance. The policy included a significant payout, enough to cover Mark's debts and leave him with a clean slate. The chilling reality was undeniable. Emily's murder wasn't a crime of passion. It was cold, calculated, and driven by greed. Armed with overwhelming evidence, police moved swiftly. On the morning of May 3, officers arrived at Mark's workplace. He was calm at first, insisting he had nothing to hide, but as the cuffs clicked around his wrists, his demeanor shifted. The man who once played the grieving husband now sat silently in the back of a patrol car, staring at the ground as cameras captured every moment. Mark was charged with 2 counts of murder, Emily's and that of their unborn child. But even as the legal process began, the story was far from over. The trial would reveal even darker truths about the man who had so ruthlessly destroyed his own family. The trial of Mark Winters was one of the most closely watched cases in the town's history. Day after day, the courtroom was packed with journalists, neighbors, and Emily's grieving loved ones, all hoping for answers and justice. Prosecutors presented a narrative so meticulously detailed that it left little room for doubt. Text messages between Mark and his lover revealed a chilling level of premeditation. "It will all be over soon," he had written just days before Emily's disappearance. A search of his internet history uncovered guides on how to stage a disappearance, clean crime scenes, and erase digital footprints. These details painted a harrowing picture of a man who planned every aspect of his wife's murder with cold precision. But the trial wasn't without surprises. A bombshell testimony from Mark's former co-worker added another layer of deceit. According to the co-worker, Mark had been bragging about starting a new life as early as 2 months before Emily's death. He spoke of escaping financial ruin and wiping the slate clean, words that, in hindsight, carried a sinister undertone. As the trial progressed, Mark's defense team tried to cast doubt on the evidence. They argued that the prosecution's case relied heavily on circumstantial details, that Mark's internet searches could be explained by his interest in crime shows, and that the blood evidence was inconclusive. But the jury wasn't swayed. The weight of the evidence was overwhelming. On the final day of the trial, the verdict was delivered, guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder. The courtroom was silent as the judge sentenced Mark to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Mark sat emotionless, his gaze fixed on the table in front of him, while Emily's family wept quietly in the gallery. Justice had been served, but the scars left behind would never fully heal. In the days following the trial, the community came together to honor Emily and her unborn child. A candlelight vigil was held outside the couple's former home, where friends and neighbors shared memories of a woman whose life was taken far too soon. Even as the case reached its resolution, lingering questions remained. What drives a person to commit such unspeakable acts? Could the warning signs have been recognized earlier? And how can society ensure that such tragedies never happen again? Asterisk. Emily's family described her as full of life, thrilled about becoming a mother. Knowing this, what do you think could have led to her tragic end? Could anyone have predicted what was coming? Now that Mark has been convicted, do you think justice has truly been served? What sentence would you have given if you were the judge? Asterisk. Thank you for watching today's deep dive into the tragic case of Emily Winters. If you found this story as chilling and thought-provoking as we did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with others who appreciate uncovering the darker truths behind these cases. Your support helps us continue to bring you detailed stories like this one. We'll see you next time for another bone-chilling investigation into the shadows of human behavior. Until then, stay safe and trust carefully. Asterisk.